to full power!
Gives me the creeps. I feel like something's watching us.
Savick, you go right on quoting regulations.
Hello, computer.
I knew I would.
You betrayed your uniform!
Target their cargo hold. Time to take out the garbage.
Smooth as an android's bottom, eh, Data?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Aspires to be better than I
Come on. It's gonna be fun.
5 years in space. God help me.
This is the best day of my life! A phaser? You didn't use it?
Swords are fun.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Welcome back to another Retrek review, where each week we talk about Star Trek. And this week, we're talking about Season 1, Episode 16 of Star Trek The Next Generation. That episode is entitled Too Short a Season. It originally aired February 8th, 1988. It was a teleplay by Michelin and DC Fontana. It was a story by Michelin. It was directed by Rob Bowman. We had guest stars. We had Clayton Rohner as Admiral Mark Jameson. Marsha Hunt as Anne Jameson. Marsha Hunt is a pretty well-known back in the day, like 1940s black and white actress.
Oh, okay.
And then Michael Pataki as Karnas. Now, you've seen Michael Pataki before. He was in The Trouble with Tribbles, and he was the Klingon who said, "Garbage scow."
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, he's the guy that Scotty ends up punching. So, the synopsis for Too Short a Season is: an elderly Starfleet admiral hides a deadly secret as he leads the Enterprise D in a hostage rescue mission. So, that is the introduction, but before we go over to supporters and YouTube comments, let's go over to Caleb and ask Caleb what he thought of the episode.
I don't know if I just was not in like a good mood, but like I really don't care about this episode.
I don't think
I don't know.
I don't think it's too far for anybody to.
Yeah, I just wasn't really too big on it, honestly. One of my major complaints, like right off the bat, was like, why is this guy in full prosthetics, but like the old lady's not? And then obviously that's a,
Yeah, like a plot point.
that's a plot point, so I can let that go. But I just don't care about the story, and I don't care about him as an admiral.
Nope.
Or what he did, and he dies in the end anyway, and then everyone's just like, on to the next adventure. And it's just very, very weak. I'm kind of disappointed that you said that DC Fontana worked on it.
Yeah.
You can always kind of tell when somebody from the original series works on it, because it's always a story that's very, like, you could swap all the characters out for like Kirk and Spock and McCoy, and it's the same same episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely dive into it in trivia, but I think that this episode suffers from what many of DC Fontana's episodes that she didn't have control over suffer from.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
Which is, she writes a killer story, and then it gets moved. Because I personally think, take away everything, like all of the character parts, and the concept of a previous starship captain making a really dumb, stupid decision, and then 40 years later having to deal with that consequence is an interesting concept.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
But how they execute it in the episode is terrible,
Yeah.
like absolutely like awful. But you can see that at the base foundation, like on floor one, they had a good idea.
Hmm. Well, it's like that. That's interesting, but the whole like de-aging thing is such a last minute
Right, exactly.
like throw in.
Yes, I agree with you. You know what? And maybe you agree with me. As much as the Code of Honor racism stuff was like cringy and terrible, and
Mhm.
the sexist stuff in Angel One was just very trite and stupid.
Yeah.
This one I feel like was probably one of the worst ones we've seen so far when you don't put it in the context of like I don't know, offensive. Like you take the offensive thing out of it and you're just left with the
Mm.
story. It's like it's kind of terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
I remember when it was coming up on the track, I was like, yeah, no, this isn't going to be good.
Yeah, I definitely am not a fan of this one. Let's see. What do I give it? I give it
Yeah,
let's give it bottom.
Frank
Absolute
Captain's.
bottom. Yeah, let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
It's almost the end of season one. I haven't used one. Maybe I've used a few. I don't remember, but
Just scorched earth at the bottom of the screen.
it's, it's like every episode. Yep.
Okay. Well, we can just move on. So before we get into YouTube comments and YouTube subscribers, we wanna say Captain on deck and say thanks to Ed Mark Starr for being a Patreon supporter. We really appreciate it. He chose a tier where he gets some cool rewards, and we're happy to have him aboard. And as always, if you want a cool shout out like Ed gets, or you want some things in the mail, head on over to our Patreon and pick a tier that best suits you. But to the YouTube world, we had 2 new subscribers to the channel. We had Janet Fastbinder
Hmm.
and Mike Falderoff. So we thank you both
for
for subscribing to us here on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then we had some comments on our previous podcasts. One was from Love by the Letter on our Angel One podcast.
Mm.
She says, I have so many comments on this, but I'll just say this. I appreciate that Klingons appreciate strong women. Also, I wonder if Roddenberry thinks women are vicious because a
Hmm.
woman told him no and he couldn't handle it. And
I think so.
then she goes, yeah, I told her very likely. And then she goes on to say that she also wants to say how proud she is of her husband, which is me, and her brother here, which is you. And then she
Cool. Yeah.
thanks us both for not being sexist, chauvinistic Gene Roddenberrys.
You got it.
It was a real strain.
Yeah. It's really a difficult concept to understand that like people should just have equal abilities.
Next is from our very own Ed Starr.
Yeah.
And he says that in our episode of 11001001, that the Binars hijacking the Enterprise during the computer refit is just a ruse, and that it's really just trying to do all this barfly hanky panky holodeck scenes are
Hmm.
just padding, being like
Oh,
Riker likes women.
absolutely.
But he brought out this really interesting point, and I didn't realize this. He says the real purpose of this episode that we're talking about
Hmm.
was to have Next Gen hop on the 1980s jazz revival that had taken over
Hmm.
popular culture. The whole episode was simply to do a jazz club scene and get street cred with Wynton Marsalis. who
That's fun.
dominated mass media as a self-appointed jazz ambassador. So TV shows had to have a jazz episode, just like radio stations had to play Spandau Ballet's True, since jazz in the 80s was basically like all the nonsense we see today, where they just cram everything
Yeah,
into into shows because they need to. So he says, thanks for that, Minuet.
it's funny.
And I was telling him that, like, I didn't realize that that was the thing in the 80s. And he was like, yeah, Talk on the Street was about jazz revolution, radios, movies, television. A little jazz was
Hmm.
showing up everywhere, from the Today Show to the Tonight Show, from Sesame Street to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He says this guy, Wynton Marsalis, would show up like a jazz cop to move entertainment his way. And then he says there's even a movie about a guy taking control of a TV station just to play jazz. And he sent the YouTube trailer
Oh,
link. And it's like a 1995 Sean Astin movie called Harrison Bergeron.
mm.
And I watched the trailer
Like
and
Tom
it's,
Bergeron.
yes. Yeah, and I watched the trailer and it is, he says it takes on a lot more darker, almost 1984-ish tones, but you can catch the movie on YouTube, so I may actually watch it, especially
Hmm.
since I like Sean Astin. So pretty funny.
That's interesting. I knew there was like a jazz like revival that they were trying to do, but I didn't realize it was such a hot topic. Like it was like such a forced thing by one person. Really
Kind
funny.
of seems like a guy, this guy was popular, and so everybody was jumping on the bandwagon, which we kind of see a lot today. So
Funny to see like that, and then also know like in the 90s it was like all grunge, rock, and metal.
true.
Very different from jazz.
Okay, well, we thank you all for your comments, for subscribing. Again, Ed for his Patreon support. But now it's time to get into the review. So immediately, like, okay, I knew that the episode was rough, but I
Mhm.
didn't obviously remember how rough because usually if I go back and watch Star Trek Next Gen, I don't watch season one. But
Yeah.
immediately with that guy, Clayton, the actor, getting on screen, and he's going like, "Ah, oh," and he's like
Mhm.
doing the lip sync with his mouth,
Yeah.
and
Oh my
it's
God, I
kind of
know.
like not great older person acting. I was like, uh-oh, this is gonna be this is gonna be
It
rough.
is it's probably one of the most forced acting choices I've seen. It's almost and it's funnier to me that like so you remember in Jackass like Johnny Knoxville
Hmm.
would be that old guy sometimes. And so here you have Johnny Knoxville who's just, he's just an idiot. He's a nobody.
Right.
And he
Right.
portrays that like so much more convincing than this like trained actor,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
such a bad.
Yes. Yes. I don't think I could even agree with you more.
It's
It's
so
really bad.
over the top.
It's
It's just
really
real
bad.
bad. Every like choice he made was like, this is how old people are. And it's like, you don't spend any time at your grandparents, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was somebody directed him to be over the top. Picard.
Yeah. I remember when I was a young man. Um, I first got to my book. I had to buy that. This is like, oh God, dude. I watched it in bed last night, and McKenna was watching Grey's Anatomy for the 3000th time, and I was
Absolutely.
more interested in that. So that's there you go.
That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
So, really funny, before the intro of the show starts, if you go to like the 210, 211 mark in the
Uh-huh.
episode, and Riker and Picard are walking to the turbo lift to meet the Admiral on the transporter
Oh
pad.
yeah.
So they
Yeah, yeah,
haven't
yeah.
left the bridge yet. Patrick Stewart 1000% makes a weird face, but you can't
He
see it. Oh,
does.
you did see it?
Yeah, he
Okay.
does. Yeah. Yeah, I thought they had like a weird inside like joke that they didn't like cut out. It was almost like they turned and like smiled at each other, like the two actors, not the characters.
Yeah, I think there's somebody in the turbo lift, like a production person, and he's like making a face at them.
Oh my god. That's really funny.
I did think it was funny that the admiral's chair was very reminiscent of,
Well, so
okay,
yeah,
of
when
Charles
that when
Xavier's chair.
well, yeah, no, yeah, that is true. But that's funny. I didn't think about that. I was thinking more like, oh, so I guess when you just get old, you just get whatever chair Pike had. That's just what they
Oh,
have in this timeline.
yeah, you get support chairs, yeah, a Pike chair.
Yeah.
But I was
To
thinking it's
be
very 90s X-Men Professor X chair. And then I was like, and it's
Yeah,
Patrick Stewart, so how funny is that? So
yeah. He wasn't even a glimmer
he
in
wasn't.
Charles Xavier's eye at this point.
Sure, absolutely not. I thought it was funny that when Karnas comes up on the screen, behind him is that Takan spear from
Hmm.
the last outpost, the guy that appears on the portal 5-3 or 6-9 or whatever his name is.
Yeah. That's when I kind of realized something was off. He's talking about peace treaties and he's got all these weapons on his back wall. It's like I don't know what this is. It was one of those. I think that's too what makes this episode so bad is it's just like you knew the Admiral was up to no good, and you knew this guy was also like probably the main reason for why the planet was bad again.
Right, right.
It was like very on the nose.
Very on the nose. To the
Like
point where
on
when
the
he's the admiral sitting on the bridge and like they keep focusing on Troy, like looking at him, like
hmm
she clearly is getting
Yeah. Oh.
feelings from him, but like isn't saying anything.
He feels old. The
Not now,
and
counselor,
and
not
how
now.
many yeah, no. Shut up, woman. And how many times did Picard say like, "Oh, just remember you're not the actual captain."
Oh,
And he's like, "Oh, yes, yes, yes.
yes, but I am the senior
But I'm in
operator lead.
charge.
And
But I'm in charge of everything." And he's like, "Yeah, but don't forget." He's like, "Ah, yes." I didn't see that going badly.
no, no, never. That's never a thing in Star Trek where admirals come on board and they ruin things for other people.
No. Even the ones that we like, they don't do that. They don't come on and take over for no reason.
Nope. I thought the scene where you first kind of figure out that the admiral's something's going on with him, and he's in the room with his wife. I thought when he's like, oh, oh, and he's grabbing his chest and like falling over, it reminded me of when old Biff is like disappearing in Back to the Future 2
Oh my
when he
God.
returns the
Yeah.
DeLorean. And he's like,
He
ah,
to he totally reminds me of old Biff. That's super funny. Yeah. She's like, "Oh, what's wrong?"
nothing, nothing at all.
Nothing. They I want this.
I
I
want
want
this.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
I took them both. Dude, I don't know how you became an admiral and you thought that was a good idea.
My whole question is, how did this guy become an admiral?
Yeah.
Which brings me to this point. Picard does not seem to think that the Admiral's behavior is deranged.
No. No, he has to trust him blindly. He's Starfleet captain.
When he gets in the thing, okay, so they have all the stuff happens, and he ends up talking to the Admiral in his room. And the Admiral is like, whatever, he's in his like 60s now or 50s or something, whatever,
Yeah.
like appearance wise.
He's in the dark though, because you don't want the audience. You don't
You
want to
don't want
show.
to, yeah, you don't
Oh
want to
my
know
God,
anything.
he's even younger.
The thing that like it makes me laugh is it's like, okay, Picard learns that this admiral just took like random alien ritual, like
Yeah,
whatever,
something
and
that's
it's
not
like,
even believed to exist.
right,
He's
it's a
like, yeah,
myth.
I drank it all. I drank it
He
all.
and he clearly is de-aging in front of him, like it's undeniable.
Mhm.
And yet Picard isn't like, no, I'm gonna contact Starfleet and say, like, I don't know what's happening here, but like he is not fit. Like there are medical issues going on here. Like Absolutely
Uh-huh.
not. It's like, no, we'll take it as long as we can. It was so it was so
Yeah.
stupid. It was so
And
stupid.
for me, that's what makes this, if this is so first of all, if this episode ended with him facing off against that dude and he was a baby, 10 out of 10. But
That,
didn't happen.
that irritated me the most was just the fact that like they
Mhm.
wrote Picard to be like, Whatever.
Yeah.
This is weird."
He's the Admiral.
Well, in honor of Back to the Future Part 2, make sure you go over to
Mhm.
Caleb's channel to see him make the hoverboard from there.
Oh,
But in
yeah.
honor of it, this is the halfway point. So go down to the comment section and write, "I'm old. I'm young." Again, wrote, it just was baffling to me that they wrote everyone to just be so perfectly fine with him anti-aging, except for his wife.
Hmm. Well, not Sarnak. He didn't. He was,
Wow.
yeah.
Carnos
The
was like,
fact that they even
"No."
the fact that they even went down to that meeting and just expected him to just be like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense." Like you didn't think that he was gonna be like, "This is absurd." Even in a world where we're all in space and everything's crazy, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And to me, if Picard didn't feel justified in stopping this mission from going forward with him taking weird alien medicine and de-aging in front of
Mhm.
him, he immediately should have stopped it when he found out that the Admiral had given Mordan weapons 40
Uh-huh.
years ago and that he was the reason for the Civil War. In his whole like, well, I didn't expect the Civil War for 40 years. I thought like a minor war and they'd figure it out. It's like, well, I was just like, what? How do you become an admiral
Mhm.
with that type of thinking and that type of reasoning? Like that's moronic.
Yeah, it's really
Just I'm
stupid.
really sad that they like essentially like neutered Picard because he just quote unquote was an admiral, so you can't do anything. Like it's kind of dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like that.
But you know what was really cool? Cutting through the wall with phasers.
It was cool. And it was nice to see that they, Worf and Tasha showed up when needed.
Yep.
It was like they weren't in the entire episode. They were like, all right, so here's the landing party. It's all of these main guys here.
Yeah.
Captain, I told you. I picked the crew. And he's like, yeah, but you can't stop me from going. So
Yeah.
like from my office said a couple weeks ago, like, yeah, let's just send down everybody
Literally
important
everybody except for like
and the
Riker.
captain. Yeah, ridiculous.
Well, it sounds like it's time for trivia.
Oh, not again.
All right, now you're overacting.
In
Mhm.
common with co-producer Herbert J. Wright's final draft script for The Last Outpost, associate producer DC Fontana's script for this episode was tampered with by Gene Roddenberry's meddling attorney, Leonard
No
Maltzlich.
way. No way.
As a result of his tweaks, the script suddenly included handwritten changes as well as a pair of new scenes, including one with Wesley Crusher that Maltzlich claimed had been written by Gene Roddenberry.
Was Wesley in this episode?
Nope.
No. Okay. What do you
Aware
say?
that aware that Roddenberry had been out of town and therefore could not have written the scenes, supervising producer Rick Berman asked Maltzlich, who had been strongly in favor of Wesley being included in all scripts, if he had actually written them, to which
Uh-huh.
Maltzlich admitted that he had. This is DC Fontana talking. Berman said that he
Yeah.
told Maltzlich he could in no way present these scenes to me for inclusion in the script, she recalled. The next morning, Berman and fellow supervising producer Robert Justman had come in early to make sure that day's scenes were ready to go to the stage, and they had found a Maltzlich written scene inserted in the revised pages. In addition, there were Maltzlich originated line and word changes incorporated into the revised pages. Berman and Justman were outraged. Berman called Roddenberry at home and informed him of the incident and also told him that I had every right to go straight to the Writers Guild Association and begin a lawsuit against Maltzlich, Roddenberry, and Paramount, and that Berman would back me 100% if I did so. And Justman called Maltzlich personally and ripped him up one and down the other for having the gall to insert his own material in a script.
Why? I don't understand why they keep letting this guy in the building.
I don't know. I really don't know.
This is not the first time he's done it, and it's not the first time that they were aware that he did it.
Yeah.
It's almost like they just were humoring him, and then when he left the building, they're like, "All right, delete all that stuff." Like, why are they even allowing him in the building? I don't get it.
There probably is a reason I haven't come across that, but yeah. So the funny thing is, Admiral Jameson's state-of-the-art 24th century wheelchair was a problem. It cost the prop department $10,000,
Oh my
but it did
God.
not even move well enough to be anything more than a hindrance, and the director, Rob Bowman, simply had to shoot around it.
Uh-huh. So they just filmed it in a way where they don't show him moving in it.
Right, right. Just in that one scene where he comes
How
into his
stupid.
room.
Where was Pike's chair? Why not just bring that out of the storage room, you know?
They burned it all.
Wow. The radiation.
As you said about Strange New Worlds, Next Gen was purifying TOS era.
God. You know what's funny? I always give George Lucas such a bad, like, he created something and then he went on to like ruin it.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, I think Roddenberry was much worse.
Yeah, in many different ways. Yeah.
I think just like, yeah, I don't know. I think the difference is Roddenberry wants everything to be the same three topics all the time.
Right.
And George wants everything to just be crazy and like stuff that he can't do, like with practical effects or CGI at the time.
Right. Well, you'll like this.
Yeah.
A set extension painting in the background of the underground installation during the phaser fight is a reuse of the Mega Made set extension from Mel Brooks's 1987 comedy Spaceballs.
Nice.
And
Now that is funny.
then lastly, actress Marsha Hunt, who played Anne Jameson, was distinguished as the oldest living Star Trek performer until her death in 2022 at the age of 104.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yep,
That was so she just died not that long ago. That's
just
crazy.
a couple of years ago.
Dang, dude.
Yeah,
That is nuts.
it is.
Yeah. I really like her in this episode. I was
Yeah,
gonna
she's
tell you, I can tell that those are the scenes that Roddenberry never saw, where she's actually having like a genuine conversation with her husband about like
yes. Yeah,
not being happy with his choices.
right.
Roddenberry must have not seen that on the script.
No,
He would have changed that immediately.
he was approving all the stuff where Jameson's like, "Yeah, but my body's so good," and she's just like, I don't care about that anymore."
Get to the bed. Get to the bedroom.
Yeah, exactly,
Jesus.
exactly.
Uh, yeah, it was actually really refreshing that scene where she's like, "You're a horrible idiot," basically. Like, why would you do this?
Yeah, and then he's like, "Well, I can get you more," and she's like, "Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
what
I don't want it. Thanks.
that's not the
Thanks.
problem."
Yeah, no, I was actually looking forward to you being retired so we could like, do this weird thing and spend time with each other. He's like, yeah, but I did this for you. And she's like, well, you didn't because you drank them both anyway. So
Yeah.
I needed to be stronger.
So we come
The
back from
original.
trivia, and I know it's beating a dead horse, but here's what I want to
Mm-hmm.
say: is
Yeah.
that I feel like the story had potential, but is covered with poor acting and just plowing through the finer things that needed time to simmer. I
Yeah.
think a real story was there. They just
Mm.
focus on the wrong things.
There's always a story there.
And
Even in
I
like the
think,
worst episodes, there's always a story to be told, but just
yeah, the last question I had was, why would the Admiral's wife want his body buried on Mordan?
I don't know. The same reason they left Spock.
Yeah,
I don't
it,
know. That's such a the whole end. Oh man, the whole end where it's like this guy is like, I'm gonna kill the hostages, I'm gonna kill them.
yeah,
And Picard's like, no, this is him. And he's like, that's not him. And Picard's like, okay. Hey, let his wife come down here.
yeah.
Let his wife be. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, what's this guy's point? The guy just wants to kill him. And it's like, okay. But now he's gonna like let his wife come down and still doesn't
Yeah.
believe it. And it's just like,
No, I know.
it's like so drawn out and just pointless. It's
And he
not
had,
like
yeah,
there's no drama. There's no like I don't ever feel like anybody's in danger ever in this episode.
no. There's like a moment when he pulls the phaser off the wall and he points it
And
at him.
use the very weapon you gave. I like how he held on to the weapon from 40 years ago. That was pretty good.
Yeah. And then he's like,
Yeah.
no, no.
Because you gave us weapons and we used them to kill each other. Now we're gonna kill you because we don't like that you allowed us to be bad people to each other. Wow, that's good reasoning. I'm glad this is happening. I'm surprised Picard didn't go on some like diatribe about like, well, we don't war with each other anymore. We're perfect society. Like,
Well, that's the thing. And like, I don't like,
uh,
obviously, I don't think I'm tipping the hat here at all, but like, that's how a later next gen episode would be written. Like, this type of
yeah.
thing would happen. And then as Picard would like learn stuff, he would just be like, this is unacceptable. And then contact Starfleet, and then they would give him a really bad excuse for keeping the guy
Hmm.
going. And then he would be forced to continue with it the first time. He'd be like, oh, Starfleet, he's taking medicine. He should be called unfit for duty. And then they're like, well, we can't really do that because is he unfit? He's just getting younger. And then he's like obliged to agree. And then he would find out, oh, he supplied people with the weapons, and then he would give this big speech at the end to Karnas, and then Karnas would like
Yeah.
change his mind.
Hmm.
And then they would end with Jameson dying, and it would be like
Now,
kind of brutal in a sense. They would let that sink in that like this guy was a moron, and that's what
mhm.
happens.
Oh, he needs to. The admiral needs to die on the planet. That's beside. Yeah, that's obvious. Yeah.
Right.
You know, the other thing too is like we've already seen this. Like Private Little Wars is very
Oh,
much like Kirk went to this planet, taught them how to do stuff, gave them rudimentary weapons,
right.
taught them how to like defend themselves and
Right.
create a war. So it's like, so why do these captains and admirals that are from a society where war is no more and peace is everything and there's no different, like, why do they teach other planets war? I don't understand
Right.
why that's a thing.
So basically it's the thing that they do even now in our up to date modern day. Private Little War was a commentary on the Vietnam
Well,
and
yeah,
Korean
yeah.
wars. And now this is a commentary on the Iran Contra
Mhm.
like weapons deal.
And I get that, but also it's just so like. I don't know. I hate that stuff anyway because it's like I don't watch TV to be like, oh, this is an interesting way to talk about this topic is like space stuff. It's like, no, it's not. Like, I don't want, don't, I'm not entertained by stuff.
because it
Like the
relates
whole
to the
point of
news.
watching stuff is to escape from stuff. Like, I don't care about how Kirk would handle the Iraqi war. Like, I don't care. Like, it has nothing to do with it. And it's like, it's also like, don't set up, like, don't give your universe rules and laws and regulations and portray it as this perfect society, but then also feel the need to talk about how things are bad in our timeline.
Oh yeah.
It's like I can equate that they're different. Like I don't need.
Yes. I have enough brain cells to know this is a TV show.
I think about that episode where Abe Lincoln comes on the Enterprise
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Uhura walks up to him and he says the thing,
Yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, we don't use that," and he's like, "Oh," and it was like they had to explain, like, "Oh yeah, we're so advanced now, we don't even say these words. Words don't hold any meaning."
Right.
It's like, "Oh wow, look at how advanced they are." I get that it's a different time period where the show was on TV and it was a
Right.
big deal, but just don't even talk about it. Just don't
Right.
even do it. If you don't even do it, then I
Right.
already know, wow, this is a different timeline. My brain is functioning. Like I don't need you to explain to me how the differences between, Stardate 2060 5083 is and 2010 is. Like I don't need, I
Right.
got it. I got it. Yeah, I got it. Thanks.
Yeah. I've seen television. I know. I
Oh yeah,
understand the future and how it works.
we used to have this thing in the late 20s. What was it called? When you would get cold and you would sneeze. Well, I
I
don't
don't.
actually, you know what?
I don't
I
know
don't
what
even know
that
what
is either.
sneezing is. What is sneezing? Hmm.
Hmm.
Man, all this is making my brain. Whoa, something must be horribly wrong. I haven't had a headache in 300 years. It's like, oh, wow. Wow, this is
So
so
advanced.
advanced and cool. It's so lame. It's so lame to me.
I know. It
Uh,
is.
and it's always just so wishy-washy too. Remember, we've been talking about like how, oh yeah, there's no such thing as French. And then last week
Mhm.
she speaks perfect French, and it's this whole. It's like, is France gone or is it not gone? I don't understand.
Like, what are we doing?
What is Halloween?
What
What
is
are city blocks? What are
automobiles?
automobiles? What are
Yeah.
those? What are those? I love the Roaring Twenties. What a time to be alive! I ask me anything about the 20s, I can tell you. That's my rant for the
No, it's good.
night.
I like it.
But I'm trying to remember what else. They beamed down and immediately get like shot, and they had to cover, and then they beamed out. It was like so pointless and just
Yeah.
so
It was just like, hey,
like,
just
oh
to let you
no.
know, the admiral doesn't know what he's doing. Like, oh,
I got that from the beginning.
I got that from when Troy looked at him and went like, huh? I was like, okay.
I sense oldness. Well, the minute that he said I drank them both, I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
got it.
There was there was an idea, an experimental alien juice.
It
I
also
drank it.
had to kill a lot of people to get it. It was delicious.
Tasted like blood.
I also think when he goes from 80 years old to whatever the next age is, he loses more hair.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Like when he first shows up, he's like,
Yeah.
meh, 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 meh. And then when he goes to like the
This
next
is all
age,
wispy.
it's like way up here. And he's like,
He's bald.
kind of,
Well, he only grew his hair in his old age.
yeah,
I like how he de-aged, but his scar was still really like
perfect.
old and aged. Look at the scar.
Yeah.
I was so expecting it to be like,
What a
there's no scar.
what a trope, right?
Get
What
out
a
of here.
trope.
Yeah. I remember when you told me in confidence that you liked eating bananas. It's like anyone could have told you
Told you
that.
that. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, well, if
Even
you
these
look,
three men back here know that I like to eat bananas. Anyone could have told
they're
you
like,
these things.
I
They're
don't,
like,
I didn't know that. Yeah, yeah. They said in the script that he was supposed to de-age until he was like 14
yeah.
and then die.
But Wesley was already in the show, so
Right. And they said that every time he de-aged, he lost his memories of whatever he was to his present. That's what originally was supposed to happen in the script.
yeah, because they did that with freaking Star Trek babies in the animated series,
Yes.
where it was like they de-aged, but also like Spock knew how to control the ship at like 10. So
See, look at this. Look
like
how
that's
useful it
fine.
was to watch all of the other Star Trek. Perfect.
It just shows me how stupid everything. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe it's not like he's time traveling. He's not traveling to a different
No,
part of his personality where he didn't know stuff.
no, I think that's
He's
why they didn't
he's
write it because it made even less sense.
the alien parasite or whatever it is like is making his body like perfect again,
Right.
which would make his memory only that much better. Like he's not gonna be like, oh, now I look like I'm 12. I don't know anything past Starfleet Academy. It's like that's not de-aging, that's time traveling. You get the two.
Right.
I don't know if Roddenberry's lawyer doesn't understand the difference between aging and time.
No, no.
No.
Well, both are fictional, Caleb. So those are not, these are not real
Don't
concepts.
worry, Roddenberry. I rewrote the script. If they say anything, we're going to sue them. Yeah, see, we're going to sue them. I did what you asked, Mr. Roddenberry. I made the skirts even shorter. You're going to love it.
Even the Admiral
If
has
you
a
don't
script.
mind. If you excuse me, I'll be in my office getting my money. I don't know. He's a 20. He's a 20th mobster.
It might as well be.
Might as well be. I mean, he's a lawyer.
Yeah, so that was generally the review. So now it's time to move on to the thing everyone's been waiting for.
Caleb? Caleb, Caleb, Caleb.
So, Caleb, who gets the Erica Ortegas Award for being the most unlikable?
It's definitely Admiral.
Not a hard one.
Admiral Dingaling.
Admiral Old Man James.
Old Man Jenkins. And it's
Who gets the Elizabeth Cutler Award for being the most forgettable?
I gotta go with Troy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know. I want to like her character so bad, but she's just so like pointless all the time. I just like so last week she wasn't in the episode. It was an episode where like she could have used like her emotions to see like
Yeah.
what these aliens were doing on the ship.
Yeah.
This week she's got this old guy. He's got like the worst backstory possible. He's got so much guilt and hatred brewing inside him.
Yeah.
Not a not a drop.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Well, next is the Mugatu Award for the best alien of the episode.
We're gonna give it to Worf. Why not? Speaking of Worf, I like how the Admiral too has no like reservations about being on the ship with a Klingon. Just
No.
totally normal, totally mundane. No, that would have been an interesting episode. An Admiral comes on board and there's like, two aliens that he warred with, the Andorians and the Klingons, and he has to be like, I know this is fine, but it still hurts. You killed my son. But I guess that we've done that like
Yeah.
several times. We even
Several
made like
times.
a full movie about it.
Yeah. Next is the Trip Tucker Award for the MVP of the episode.
Let's give it to Crusher this week. Let's say her being the doctor, she actually like noticed that he was something that was up with him like earlier than anybody. So
Yeah, true.
and she let him toast at the end there. So
Like, is there anything you can do? She's like, no, I'm not even going to try. I was thinking maybe at the end, the Admiral's wife, Anne, was maybe like, oh, so you want to drink alien juice and then go talk to this guy on the planet? How'd that work out? Guess you're going to stay here forever. And that just left.
yeah, you deserve each other.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Next is the Spock Award for the best line of the episode.
That's definitely when the Admiral said it was always gold. He's like, "Oh man, your beautiful golden hair," and she's like, "Oh, it's been gray." And he's like, "It was always gold." And he died.
Yeah,
I said, "Yeah, you know what? That's
I can
pretty
get,
good."
I can get behind that.
I haven't heard anything else. So yeah,
Oh man, I
that's it.
just started to care for him, and he's dead.
Oh man.
Next is the Shran Award for the best action
Oh,
sequence.
a good one. That's when Data did the roll.
Captain, their weapons are on lethal or deadly, and he's like,
Yeah,
"Yes,
yeah,
they do."
yeah. I recognize the sound, Data. Thanks. Which I thought was that was actually interesting that they have a different sound effect.
Stun
I
sound.
don't understand why Starfleet phasers have the ability to kill if they never use it, even when their enemies are using kill settings and trying to kill them. They're just still like, just stun them. You
Yeah.
don't need them.
Well, we don't need to kill them. That's the point. You don't need
No,
to kill them.
no. Of course you don't need to.
But I'd like
But I really want to.
to.
Just
Next
want
is the NX Award for some sweet ship stuff.
Let's say it's the phasers cutting through the wall. That was cool.
Ooh, nice. Nice. Back to
I
back.
haven't seen phasers do anything in this series so far, so
Yeah. Pretty good. I
we
enjoy
also
it.
get two make it so's in this episode. That's pretty good.
Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Making it so, sir. He also called the other thing I find weird is that the Admiral calls Riker number one. I'm not sure. That's a good point, number one. And I'm like, right,
Yeah, technically, if you're the admiral
Picard.
and you're on Picard's ship, that makes you the number one.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but also like you wouldn't call him that, you know?
No, no.
You would call him Riker, Lieutenant Riker, Commander
It's
Riker, whatever
basically
he goes
like
by.
the way they build that, the way it's built, it's basically like he gets familiar with Picard's senior staff, and then Picard's like, hey, by the way, I call him number one. And he's like, oh, got it. Nice, thanks.
Please. Oh, wow. My apologies. My apologies. Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
Yes. Next is the
Excellent
Porthos
point, no, yes.
Award for the cheesiest thing of the episode.
Oh, where do I begin? It's when the Admiral walks down the
Oh,
ramp and does his big Willy Wonka
yeah, like he can walk. Yeah.
goof, yeah. And then he goes and sits in
Jordy's.
Geordi's chair, and he's like, "Oh, yes, I'll just sit here for a little bit." And like Geordi has to just stand behind his chair
Yes.
for some reason.
Yes.
That was stupid.
Well, lastly is the Enterprise Award for the best scene of the episode.
I feel like somewhere in there, could have been like a good scene between like Picard and the Admiral, like talking about stuff, but there just wasn't.
No, not really.
You know, like all those, they took all the time to like do those shots where he's in the dark.
Yes.
Could have had them talking like strategy or philosophy.
Well, to be honest, kind of the thing that you said, the thing you kind of liked was his wife like getting mad at him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, do that. I did like that. I liked that, like, for once in the show, they actually had like a woman be like human.
Yeah.
She had like a legitimate point and a reason and an argument, and it
It
was
wasn't
refreshing.
clouded with something else. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, that was it,
Oh my
folks.
God.
You heard what Caleb thought of the episode. But now it's your turn to tell us what you thought of the
Yeah.
episode. Did you
Mm-hmm.
like it? Did you love it? Did you want more of it?
More of it.
Or was
No.
this too short a season for you?
No, in fact, I was hoping this was the season finale with that title. But there's like 16 more, so.
Let us know
What if
down below.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Next week's episode. If you missed Wesley this week, you won't miss him next week. It's entitled When the Bow Breaks. Can't wait.
I honestly don't like hate Wesley
Sure,
at this
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
He has his moments, but so far he's not like terrible. It's not gonna be good if the bow breaks because that's where the bridge is.
Or the cradle will fall.
Down will come Wesley, sweater and all.
Oh no. But as always, if you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Share it with all your friends and family and Trek enthusiasts. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And ring that bell so you can watch the episode as soon as it comes out.
Something to remember is that the thumbs up and thumbs down is for our episode, not for the episode that we watch. So don't get those mixed up. So.
True. But once this video is over with, what's that? Is that the train coming? You can go over to Caleb's channel. He has a prop channel called The Plastic Underground. He's got a lot
Is
of
that
fun.
the midline?
He's got a lot of fun, good videos over there. So, Caleb, is there anything you want the people to know about?
Amando 2 came out. That came out today. So today for us, past for you. Will and I talked about the first 4 episodes of season 2 of Mandalorian. And you're going to be surprised at what Will thought about some of these episodes. Some pretty hard takes.
Some real
Not a
intense
fan
take.
of Mando. Not a fan of Grogu.
Hate them both.
Hates them both. So check that out. Will said my last prop video was the hoverboard from Back to the Future. Part 2. That was cool. I don't think I'll have another one out yet. I'm working on stuff, but our Dragon Ball Z episode comes out next week.
Yeah, just a couple days.
So stay tuned for that. Yeah.
Between the
There's
two.
lots of stuff. There's always stuff. There's
Always stuff. So make sure you go over there and like his videos, subscribe to him, leave a comment, leave a suggestion. You decide.
And if you're like done doing like Christmas stuff with your family and you're like, hey, what's something I can do right now? We're putting out a Galaxy Quest watch along.
Oh, that's true.
So,
Very true.
mark your calendars for that. That's it. That's all I got. I'll talk about it next week too. It'll be the same stuff. Don't worry about it.
Well, thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate you doing all the fun stuff down below and making it look so nice on the YouTube page.
Ooh,
Ooh.
so tasty.
Yeah, ooh, more sultry.
Oh God.
But until next week, computer end program. See you guys.